Welcome back to So This is Thailand, and we're here on Expert Advice with a guest who has been on the show before, giving us advice about how to start a business. Now he's back to tell you what it takes to keep it running. Welcome again to the show to BJ Radomski, founder of Big Picture Business Builders. How are you today?
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Good. So, right, now we want to know, once you've written the business plan, got it going, so what does it take to make a really excellent business?
I can tell by your voice that you've already written a business plan since we last spoke, right? Well, in writing the business plan, what that requires is that one of the most important elements of running a successful business is to create the vision. To be able to be that visionary, to think really big. And that's where entrepreneurs do really well. Right. They have these fantastic ideas and that don't stop coming in. And that's great to get you started. But for the idea to come to life, we need a very different set of behaviors, which is almost the opposite of being the visionary, which is someone who's very detail-oriented, someone who's going to be able to create that very detailed and itemized plan. So that's a second part, and the two of those quite often don't come naturally in the same person.
Right.
So if you're the big picture thinker, we have to make sure that you don't miss the boat on getting that small detail filled in as well. So those are two. There's a few more elements that are important as well.
Well, looking in industry right now, can you think of any business leaders that come to mind that really are good examples of here's a big thinker, but here's another person who's really the detail-oriented person?
A distinction between the two, some that are...
Well, I was just thinking because a lot of people are like, well, if you look at Steve Jobs, is Steve Jobs someone who's a big thinker, or he the detailed, or is he a combination of both? How does he,
Well, that was an excellent example because Steve Jobs, we see as visionary, was fantastic. And we see as the attention to detail, was at the top of the game there. And so from those 2 points, we can see that he had a lot of tremendous skills. There's a few other areas that maybe we see that weren't as strong, and that was in the ability to communicate individually with others on a one-on-one basis. I've never been there, never worked with Mr. Jobs, I couldn't say, but we certainly have heard stories that have come out that maybe from a personal communication style is something that could have been improved a little bit.
So from the visionary to the small details, it's, how do you say, what are like the key kind of checkpoints that one needs to build on or to look for when you're kind of...
Well, checkpoints are great because if we leave it up to ourselves, we just sort of tend to follow what comes most natural for us and easiest for us. And that isn't everything we need to run the organization. So having systems or checklists in place are a good point. And that's where the planning side of the leader will put these programs in place. And so maybe that's your Monday meetings, that's your quarterly scheduled getaways where the team has a chance to develop as a team. And then the most important element as well is the development of the leader himself.
All right.
So the personal development, the ability to control your emotions, the ability to stay focused and motivated, even when the business is going a little tough. That when you do get set back, you still have the strength to come back and push your business forward.
Right.
So when you mentioned these attributes of a good leader, if you could just go through each one of those so we know, all right, number 1, number 2, number 3.
Okay, sure. So the first one again, to recap, was the visionary. And that's what we see with most entrepreneurs, the ability to think of the big picture, what do I want my business to be? Okay. The second element is, for that to come to life, we need to be able to set some goals and have some detailed planning in process. Third is, you're not going to do that on your own. So you're going to need to be able to communicate. You're going to be able to communicate to people who are unlike you as well as people who are like you. You're going to be talking to investors, you'll be selling to customers, you'll be motivating your team. Fourth is the ability to build a team. Teams are not really natural. There's going to be conflict when you bring a variety of people together. So as a leader, how can you deal with that team? And the last aspect is taking care of yourself personally, which is the personal power. Managing your emotions, staying motivated, staying focused, and being able to come back every day to drive your business forward.
Sounds hard.
It's enjoyable. All you need is just a little bit of coaching and maybe some tools, and that business plan that you're working on will come to life soon enough.
Now, these attributes, do they only work with small to medium enterprise, or is this something that even a CEO of a multinational company can really benefit from?
All areas of leadership, and it's not just in business. A good part of my business is mapping this to how it fits into your personal life as well. You'll see that these same attributes are important in your personal relationships, in what you're trying to do with your family, as well as what you're looking to do in a corporate world.
Something just popped in my head. The fact that we're here in Thailand, I know a lot of expats, foreigners who come here, they have a certain style of communication. You mentioned number 3 on the list there. And when they come to Thailand, it's a different culture here. It's a different way of working. They might find that particularly difficult when working with Thai staff or Thai counterparts. How would you advise them to really overcome some of those obstacles?
One of the things that a lot of people will, when they're working in an expat environment, is they do start to blame cultures as being the reason for lack of communication. And I don't really respect that. The culture is just a symptom. When we get beneath that, people are people. And when you understand how to communicate with another, it's not a cultural difference that's going to get in the way. In fact, it makes the other person maybe even a little more interesting. But the real key is learning how to understand, how to communicate to people on a more basic level.
So having been in Thailand for a while, would you say that you would need to communicate to Thai staff a different way than communicating with foreign staff maybe, or is there no difference?
Well, maybe in the speed of how fast I talk, but and some of the vocabulary. But actually, other than that, no, there isn't.
Oh, you don't find the local staff to be more kind of sensitive, or people are just people?
There are sensitive people in Canada, and there are sensitive people here as well.
That's a great answer. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope to have you back very soon to give us more useful expert advice.
Thank you kindly.
All right, do stay tuned. We'll be right back with So This is Thailand.
And welcome to our 4th day down in Hua Hin. Except today we've come just a little bit north to Cha Am. Now both of these areas collectively are known as the royal residences. Why is that though? We'll find the answers to that and why the Thai kings love this area so very much. Between Hua Hin and Phetchaburi are a collection of Thai historical sites in the forms of royal palaces, beginning with King Rama IV and the introduction of Western influences in architecture at Khao Wang, to Ban Bun, until the modern-day Klaiganwon, which is home to His Majesty the King Bhumibol Adulyadej. The pastel wooden Marukatayawan Palace is still used in important functions and a not-to-miss site. This famous palace is most associated with King Rama VI. Marukatayawan Palace is a particular highlight when you come to visit. Completed in 1925 by King Rama VI, it served as his summer palace. As you can see, it's meticulously been restored because after the royal court's last visit, it remained dormant for several decades, only recently being restored to this pristine condition and open to the public as well. The palace architecture is the perfect combination between Eastern and Western styles. The original plans were actually drawn up by His Majesty the King Rama VI and given to his Italian architect. Now there's a lot of pieces here which are, well, very ingenious. If you look at the base of them, you'll notice that a lot of them, well, have cutouts where you can add in water. The reason for this is being a tropical climate and being mostly made of wood, it prevents ants and other insects from, well, getting upstairs. Not only that, you can notice on the second floor, it's all connected. That means that you can walk through any of the 3 major buildings in the rain and stay dry.
This building is one of the highlights of the palace and is quite significant in terms of King Rama VI's experience overseas. He was the first king to ever travel around the world and was very educated in Western traditions. Not only that, he had a love of literature and of plays and translated several works of Shakespeare itself. This building you see around me was used as a theater for not only performances that the king would watch, but also that he also played in as well. In addition to being a theater, it also was functioning as a welcome and reception room and for formal occasions as well. The magnificent walkway you see behind me is another very highlight and photogenic point of the palace. It extends all the way from the main building to the shores of the ocean in front. It just shows you just the great ties and love of the ocean that all of the Thai monarchs have had. It's prominently displayed not only in past times but in modern as well, featuring in many different TVs and movies as well. Maruka Taiwan Palace is just one of the many royal residences that you can visit in the area, whether you're in Hua Hin or here in Cha'am or even in Phetchaburi. You want to take your time and soak in all the historic experience and, well, fresh ocean air as well. We'll see you next time. Back to the studio.